Frederick Valentich was not supposed to be famous. He was just a 20-year-old pilot on a training flight, until he reported that something strange was following him, and then he vanished, leaving behind only the sound of metal scraping. It's 1978, and Frederick Valentich, a 20-year-old Australian pilot, has 150 hours of total flight time. He held a Class 4 instrument rating, which in Australia allowed limited night flying in visual conditions. He was desperate to secure a career in aviation, but struggled with exams, failing multiple commercial theory subjects in the year before. So he rents a Cessna 182, a 4-seat single-engine airplane that's widely used for training and light travel. It's heavier and more powerful than the basic 2-seat trainers, with a higher cruise speed and a more stable feel in level flight. The route of the flight was simple. Depart from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne, follow the coast to Cape Otway, then cross Bass Strait to King Island. In a Cessna 182, that's roughly an hour each way. The airplane had been refueled to full, giving endurance for several hours, more than enough for an out and back with reserve fuel. The weather was also favorable. Clear skies, good visibility, and light winds. End of daylight near the coast was around 7:18 p.m., and the first call he made to the controller came about 7:06 p.m. That timing puts the flight right at dusk. "Any traffic below 5,000 feet?" he asks. The controller replies, "No known traffic." Right after, Valentich reported seeing something very strange. He said that a large aircraft with 4 bright landing lights had just passed overhead at speed. Few minutes later, he said the object was orbiting above him, described it as long and shiny with a green light. He said his engine was starting to run rough, and his last words were, "That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft." What followed was about 17 seconds of weird metallic noise until the transmission ended. Soon after, a massive air and sea search was launched, which lasted 4 days in total and covered more than 1,000 square miles. But no trace of the aircraft was ever found. If you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got more coming for you. The Department of Transport's summary report declared that the cause of the incident was undetermined. That's the official line, but later material adds 2 important details. Number 1, 5 years after the disappearance, a Cessna 182 engine cowl flap washed ashore on Flinders Island, about 300 kilometers from where Valentich was last heard. A cowl flap is a hinged metal panel located beneath the engine that regulates airflow. The Bureau of Air Safety Investigation sent the piece to the Royal Australian Navy's research laboratory to take a look. They noted that the part came from a Cessna 182 aircraft between a certain range of serial numbers, but failed to confirm if it was from the aircraft of Valentich. Number 2, a departmental note from 1978, which was rediscovered decades later, recorded that a search aircraft briefly spotted a suspected debris field, but then mysteriously lost sight of it. King Island officials were also never informed ahead of Valentich's planned arrival. Even though at small or remote airports, advance notification is standard. Further complicating the matters, Valentich's stated reasons for the trip don't align cleanly in the historical record. Some witnesses say he wanted to go collect some friends, while others report that he spoke of going for crayfish. But when investigators tried to trace those claims after the disappearance, neither plan was substantiated. Around that time and place, Venus was near maximum brilliance, with Mars, Mercury, and the bright star Antares also visible. To someone trying to make sense of lights, those 4 points can look like parts of one shape. When a pilot is scanning at night, Depth and motion are really hard to judge. A light that feels close and fast can be, in fact, very far and stationary. At dusk, part of the horizon can be brighter than the rest, or partially obscured by haze. If you unconsciously align your wings to the tilted false horizon, you introduce a small bank. If you keep chasing that level with small corrections, the airplane can enter a widening or tightening turn. In a tightening turn, the load on the airplane increases and the G-forces can affect fuel flow or how the engine breathes. What does that sound like? It can sound like rough running, exactly what Valentich reported. Valentich specifically mentioned a green light. Airplanes carry red and green navigation lights on their wingtips, red on the left, green on the right. A Cessna 182 has the same standard layout. In certain bank angles, with a reflective windshield, a pilot can see a faint reflection of their own wingtip light in an unexpected spot. If the airplane is in a turn and the pilot is fixating outside, the green glow could look like it belongs to something above or ahead. One early speculation from officials was that he might have become disoriented, wound up upside down, and mistook reflections in the water for another craft. That has been debated. The more likely version among safety analysts today is the graveyard spiral scenario, a descending turn that feels level to your inner ear. The inner ear senses acceleration, not sustained constant speed turns. After a few seconds, the turn can feel like straight and level. When you see the altimeter dropping and you pull back to stop the descent, without leveling the wings first, you tighten the turn, increase the load, and lose altitude faster. If you're not locked onto the instruments, it's a trap. Another theory claims he might have staged his disappearance. With over 4 hours of fuel on board, he could have diverted elsewhere. The aircraft was never on radar. Police reportedly got a tip about a small plane landing off the coast that evening. The problem, however, with this theory is that there is no solid evidence of a deliberate landing, no follow-up sightings of Valentich, and nothing concrete in the files showing a plan to vanish. Then the question arises, did he take his own life? That has also been suggested in some write-ups, usually tied to his exam failures and career stress. But investigators who spoke with his girlfriend and others reported no indications of such intent, and the files don't support a definitive call there. One of the reasons this case became famous is because of one sentence on the tape. It is not an aircraft. There were also public reports that night of a bright, erratic green light. Astronomers noted that the Orionid meteor shower peaks around October 21 to 22 most years, and that shower typically produces about 10 to 20 meteors per hour under dark skies. Reports of fast, bright lights are common around that peak. A local photographer, Roy Manifold, later produced a sunset photo with a smeared shape that UFO groups promoted as something exiting the water near Cape Otway, while others called it an out-of-focus bird or insect. However, uncertainty continues to prevail because the ocean destroys and disperses evidence. The last known position was not precise, the search box was large, and Bass Strait's winds, tides, and currents can scatter or sink light debris quickly. Aluminium corrodes and fragments, buoyant materials eventually waterlog and sink, and shifting sand beds bury objects.